5 of the best investments you can make in 2021. That's what we're going to be talking about here in this video today, guys. With 2021 coming up, maybe you've decided you want to take up some sort of investment. Maybe you decided you want to start a business. Maybe you just decided it's time to start a retirement account. Well, in this video, we're going to be talking about the best investments that can be made in 2021 that will help you achieve wealth in the future. And as always, before we get into the video, please like the video. Please subscribe to the channel if you like this content. Those two things really help out the YouTube channel a massive way. It really satisfies the algorithm that we are working with. And let's get right into it. The first investment we're going to talk about in this video is cash. Now, if you guys know me, you know I don't like cash. Cash gets devalued, cash doesn't appreciate over time, cash doesn't really do anything for you. And to clarify, when I say cash, I don't mean like the physical dollar bill. I mean like a checking account, savings account, something liquid that you have access to immediately. So nothing like stocks, bonds, real estate, stuff like that. So if I don't like cash, why would I suggest investing in it and keeping it around? Well, a lot of people have bills to pay. Student loans, mortgage, car payments, the whole 9 yards. Everyone usually has some sort of bill to pay in this world. And how does the normal person pay for those? Well, the normal person works a 9-to-5 job and they get paid either weekly, bi-weekly, monthly, whatever the point is, they get paid eventually. And out of every paycheck monthly, they take out some money and put it towards bills. Like I just said, the car payment, maybe the student loan, maybe the mortgage, they put it towards some sort of bill. The rest of the money, maybe they invest it, maybe they go spend it, maybe they just go on Amazon because it's Amazon Prime's day or week rather, and they just let it all go, whatever happens, happens. But for this example, we're gonna say that this person just spends their money as they wish. They don't save anything and just continue to spend it. And then one day, little Johnny goes into his boss's office because his boss calls him in for a meeting at 9 a.m. and his boss says to him, "Hey Johnny, listen, I'm really sorry to say this, but we're actually gonna have to let you go. We're downsizing. We just don't need your position anymore. We're terminating it. I'm really sorry to say this, but we gotta lay you off." So little Johnny goes home after that meeting, right? And little Johnny still has these bills to pay. He still has to pay the mortgage. He still has to make that car payment. The banks don't care that little Johnny got laid off. The banks still want money from little Johnny. So basically the point I'm trying to get at here is you should keep cash around to invest in an emergency fund in case something like this happens. And I know sometimes jobs are secure. You might not be as expendable as someone else in that agency or in that company. But the bottom line is you never know what's gonna happen. 2020 is an indicator that anything can happen at any time. Literally anytime. So be prepared in case this happens, in case another once in a 100-year event hits for some reason. I guess that would make it more than a once in a 100-year event. But keep cash around. Keep 3 to 6 months. Ideally, I would say 6 months to a year, just because you don't know how long it's going to take you to find a job. But this is a good idea because if something like this happens, you're not pinching pennies. You don't have to worry about, oh man, the holidays are coming. How am I going to buy gifts for my kids? How am I going to do this? You have the cash around and you can afford to live off of that savings for a little while until another job eventually comes up. Another reason to keep cash around is if you see dips in the market, like you saw back in March when the market tanked 30+%. And the market doesn't always have to tank 30+% for you to buy into a stock. If you see a stock go down 2%, 5%, and it's a company you believe in and you really think is going to skyrocket over the long term, you can absolutely continue to deploy some of your cash into that stock if it's only down 2 or 5%. But the important thing is to have cash on the sideline to be able to do that when necessary. Which brings me to my second point about your best investment you can make in 2021, and that's investing in stocks. And we're gonna cover two different things here. We're gonna cover ETFs like S&P 500 fund, and we're gonna cover individual stocks. Now we're gonna first start with the S&P 500 fund. When you create a portfolio, you obviously want some sort of diversification. You don't want to put all your eggs in one basket because, well, you could honestly lose the basket. But by investing in an S&P 500 fund, you're going to get 500 of the most profitable companies in the United States. I personally find it very unlikely all 500 of those companies are just going to go bankrupt, belly up, and you're never going to hear from them again without anything happening. This is a really good low-risk investment for someone who's just getting into investing, doesn't really want to spend a ton of money, just wants something very safe and diversified. And basically, if you put your money in this, you're betting on America, which history shows is a really good bet. Over the last 100+ years, the S&P 500 has returned on average an 8% return through all these recessions, the Great Depression, Rona, per se. If you watch Financial Education, you know what I'm talking about, you get that reference, but you get what I'm trying to say. It's averaged 8% through all of these bad times. This also means that during these bad times, the market's more likely to bounce back eventually. For example, if you invested in cruise lines or something like that, for a long time, you didn't know, and I guess we still don't know because they keep raising all this money, if the cruise lines were gonna make it through. But obviously with the S&P 500, it's going to bounce back eventually because companies like Apple, companies like Facebook, other companies like that in the S&P 500, they're gonna boost it up and get through this. And even if you are on a tighter budget, you can invest partially in fractional shares or something like this, and you'll still get the investment, you'll still get the diversification. But most importantly, and this is good for a lot of new investors, this is a more passive way to invest. You don't have to go through the 10 Qs and the 10 Ks like I do when I do these stock analysis videos like I did for Dropbox, Planet 13, Cirrus Logic, all those other videos. Those take a long time to read. But what it does do, it still provides you with an investment that you'll see a great return over time without having to do all of this work that I willingly like to do. Which brings me to the subsection of this second point, and that's individual stocks. Let me tell you, although putting money in an S&P 500 fund is safe and I really enjoy it, I like doing it, I think it's a great idea, let's be honest, it can be boring just simply putting money in, just seeing the returns over time, this and that. You never have to look at it. What's really exciting is researching companies, in my opinion, researching companies, looking for the next Amazon, looking for the next Apple. This company's on the come up, this company's undervalued. I find joy in that and I really like doing that. And let me tell you, 90%, maybe even more than that, maybe 95% of the people that invest in individual stocks do not put in the work. I can guarantee you, a lot of people out there investing in individual stocks aren't reading the 10Ks, aren't reading the 10Qs, aren't listening to conference calls, aren't reviewing the investor presentations. They're just not. Immediately when I ask someone, well, what stocks are you buying? What would you recommend? And they tell me XYZ stock. And I say, oh, really? What's so good about XYZ stock? And they tell me what they like about it. And then I say, well, what did the 10Q say about this? What did the last conference call say? And they're just like, what's a 10Q? And when was the last conference call? Automatically, I just know that they're not doing the research and putting in the work that they should be putting in. So basically the bottom line I'm trying to make here is if you do this, one, make sure you're willing to put in the work, and two, if you're asking someone, make sure they're actually putting in the work, because I guarantee you a lot of people are not reading those 100+ page documents that I read very thoroughly. But if you are willing to put in the work, you can see fantastic returns on these companies that are undervalued. I don't think it's impossible to beat the market like some people make it out to be, but I don't think it's by any means easy. You have to be willing to put in the work, you have to know how to create a portfolio, you have to know when to buy in, when to buy out, you have to know how to value these companies. There's a lot that goes into it. But like I was just saying, the bottom line to this whole ramble that I'm going on here, if you want to put in the work, absolutely do it. Read the 10Ks, read the 10Qs, listen to conference calls, look into the competitors, look into everything, and you're gonna see fantastic returns. But what I would recommend is if you're gonna do this, and I do this too, make it a smaller percentage of your overall portfolio, like probably 20% or less, maybe 10% or less if you're getting new into investing in stocks or something like that. Don't just go in and buy like 100% of Apple stock. If you put 10 grand Apple stock, and that's all you have invested. Maybe put 1,000 into Apple stock and put the other 9,000 into like an S&P 500 or something like that. The third best investment that you can make in 2021 is a retirement account. And this mainly goes out to everyone watching this video that's in their 20s, maybe early 30s, depending on where your responsibilities are. But the thing is, when you're younger, when you're in your 20s, you're probably not gonna have kids, you might not have a mortgage, you're gonna have a lot less responsibilities, as opposed to when you're 50, you're gonna have kids, you might wanna pay for your kids' college, you gotta pay the mortgage. You know, there's a lot more things that you're gonna have to take responsibility for as opposed to 30 years younger than 50. And the biggest financial regret people have when they are older is they did not save enough money for retirement. A 2018 report on the economic well-being of the US households concludes that 25% do not have anything saved for retirement, and actually only 36% are on track with their retirement savings. Now, in my opinion, people who do not save more for retirement, it comes down to two main reasons. The first reason is because they don't make enough money, and the second reason is because they're just not aware. If you don't make enough money, see if you can cut down on some sort of expenses. Maybe change where you're shopping for groceries. Maybe try to sell your house and downsize. Maybe just see how often you're going out to eat or anything along those lines. There's a ton of ways to cut back on your expenses. And if you do all that and it's still not enough, maybe try to pick up some sort of side job, maybe start a side hustle or something along those lines so you continue to build your income and continue to invest and build that retirement account so you don't have to worry about working until the day you die. And if you are unaware of how important it is, make sure you ask. Ask questions. No one's born with this knowledge, no one at all. Warren Buffett wasn't born with the knowledge of how to pick stocks. Jeff Bezos wasn't born with the knowledge of how to build an empire. No one's born with the knowledge of what a 529 plan is or what a Roth IRA is. They're just not. Don't be afraid to ask questions. I made this mistake when I was younger and I really regret it looking back. Don't be afraid to ask and get all of that information you can. Soak it up like a sponge and continue to build your human capital. The fourth best investment you can make in 2021 is starting some sort of side hustle, business, online business, or anything along those lines. This goes out to all those people that work 9 to 5 in a desk who want some get-rich-quick scheme, because here's the thing, it doesn't exist. Imagine if you told someone if you put in the work on a side hustle for 2 to 3 years, then you could eventually scale it and grow into something great. And the next 5 to 10 years of life would be on cruise control because you would be making more money than you can even imagine. I guarantee you some people still wouldn't do it because they just don't have the discipline. They don't have the discipline to stick with something for 2 to 3 years. That's not going to show immediate results. It's basically a fact. It is hard looking at it. Most people aren't going to turn down a night out with their friends to go edit a YouTube video, or they're not going to turn down some sort of party just so they can go edit a blog post or anything along those lines. It's tough, especially when you're not seeing any results. It's easy once you get up and running, say 5 years down the road, when you're pulling in this income, you're doing all these things, you've got all these business ideas. But at first, like the first couple years, it's tough, man. Like it really can be, to keep motivating yourself to keep doing it. Especially when you've got friends that want to do this. Oh, I haven't seen you in 6 months because of this virus. You want to go get a drink, or you want to go out to eat somewhere. It can really be tough to stay disciplined. I know it can. But if you stick with it, you're not going to regret it. And that's the most important thing you got to remember. Anyway, back to the point of this investment. If you're making 50, 60K a year and it's just still not doing it for you, you just aren't pulling enough money, maybe you can't do what you want in life, you can't travel, whatever the case may be, consider starting some sort of side hustle, man, because you know what the truth is, you're capped at a 9 to 5. That 50, 60K a year salary, that's all you're going to be making. But say you start a business, it's scalable, it's unlimited. You can make as much money as you please, because the more business ideas you put out, the more money you're going to be able to pull in once you get it up and running. So what this means is you're eventually going to be able to get out of that 9 to 5. You're just going to be able to focus on your business. As Mark Cuban said, I mean, to be an entrepreneur, you got to work 80 hours so you don't have to work 40, which kind of is messed up, but it's also true, because you work 80 hours, your earnings potential is uncapped. As opposed to if you work 40 hours, your earnings potential is absolutely capped. And even if you really don't want to leave your job, you're really passionate about it, I really think you should consider starting some sort of side hustle anyway. And mainly because you're just going to increase your income, and you can put more money towards retirement, more money towards different investments, and ultimately it's just going to increase your income as a whole. If you are interested in making money online or starting a side hustle, I do have ways to make money online that are basically free. I did make a video on it. I will link that video down below in the description. Let me know if you end up checking it out in the comments, and we're going to move on to the next point, which the best investment you can make in 2021 is investing in yourself. There are tons and tons of ways you can invest in yourself that people don't even think of. I feel like in this day and age, people think if I want to learn something, I got to go to school for it. If I want to learn finance, I got to go to school to be a financial advisor. If I want to be a businessman, I got to go get my MBA. And that's not the case by any means. You can learn tons of things online. YouTube, Google, all those things you can learn in a day. Okay, maybe not a day, but definitely over a period of time just by Googling things. One thing you can do to invest in yourself is buy books, read books. Maybe it's getting an Audible membership. And this is just going to expand your human capital, and you're ultimately just going to become more valuable as a person and an employee. Think of your brain as a sponge, and you just want to soak up all the water that you possibly can. By doing this, you're going to learn new tips, tricks, and methods you would have never thought of, and most likely you're going to pick up some new area of interest along the way. I know me personally, if I never started reading personal finance books, I would have never ever even thought of personal finance as a hobby and an area of interest of mine. I probably wouldn't start this channel, and I wouldn't really be talking to this camera in my living room by myself right now. But you can also do this through online courses. And like I said before, I don't really think online courses are necessary to buy, because in this day and age, you can Google things, you can YouTube things. There's just so much access to free information that you can get. But if you want to go on Skillshare and pay the $20 a month and get a course on there, or maybe you want to get a course from Udemy for 10 bucks, I don't see anything wrong with that. As long as it's cheap, it's not overpriced, and you're just not paying for things that aren't high quality. By just spending a day Googling or YouTubing around, or maybe spending a couple of days on one of these cheap online courses, you're gonna learn a ton of things about a ton of different topics. And if you're gonna spend that little bit of money, or if you're gonna invest your time into something like that every day or every couple of days or even a day, I really think it's a good idea, and I really support it. And with that said, guys, that's gonna be it for this video. I hope you enjoyed this video about the best investments you can make in 2021. Let me know in the comments which of these you like the best, and let me know what you're going to invest in 2021. And I will see you guys in the next video.